and it's a metal bro. Mental meltdown, gaming in flames. Chris and Henrik bringing the thunderous rage. Video games and viral content. Better games, ripping through pixels, the ultimate game to get around. The ultimate. Rave over, I'm feeling the rage. Chris Collins and HenricK on the stage, talking gaming news. Industry that can't escape, we're reviewing video games. No need to debate, they bring the heat, spitting truth non-stop with fiery words. They're ready to drop, making waves in the world of video games. Collins and HenricK, they don't play no games. From console wars to DLC scams, they expose it all, making sure no one jails. The audience fired up, ready to explode. When rage quits on, you know it's a code. You know it's a code. When rage quits on, you know it's a code. Rage quits. Rage quits. I'm losing my mind. Chris and Henrik, they're fucking gaming all the time. Rage quits. Rage quits. It's a love-hate affair, but I keep coming back. Ain't nothing else to compare. Rage quit. It's a love-hate affair.
What's raging, gamers? Welcome to Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. How you doing, HenricK the Wreck?
You know me, Chris. It's Wednesday. It's time to rage. I'm a little under the weather, but all that means is that you're gonna get bass baritone HenricK today.
Yeah, it's hot as shit, man. Oh my gosh, bro. Like, I don't know what the hell's going down in Southern California. It's hot. People are getting sick at the same time. But
Yep.
you the man, you the co-host at the end of the day, HenricK the Wreck. So we appreciate you joining along for the ride. But we got so much here to discuss on Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. And we can't thank you, the gamers, for always tuning in live every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, because without your support, gamers, this show would not be possible. But we always like to start off the show with the bang and show you guys a lot of viral content that is circulating all across the World Wide Web. So let's go ahead and set the tone. So Mario Kart World is the crown jewel of the Nintendo Switch 2, winning over gamers of all ages. And yet, despite logging hundreds of hours in past games, some of us still manage to sabotage ourselves in first place like it's our very first race. Yeah, we understand that there's a little bit of Tony Hawk Pro Skater going on with the new Mario Kart. But I think we all, maybe once, twice, maybe 3 times, maybe HenricK has a skill issue involved with this. I know he's going to witness
Chris.
the pain unfold.
Wait, what happens if I throw a blue shell in first?
What?
What happens if I shoot myself with a gun?
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Yeah. You know, would you want to see that changed, or do you like that it stays OG?
You know what? Keep it as is. It's funny.
You think so? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, let's go into the comments before I start saying what I think, needs to change. Not so much the blue shell, but what I think needs to change with Mario Kart World. But what happens when you throw an item meant for first place while you're in first place? Does it and then acts shocked. So there's over 4,000 likes on it. Some people feel like he's just finessing for clickbait. Do you really I thought that was kind of genuine. It's a brand new game after all.
Probably was an unscripted moment. In all actuality, yeah.
I think, Mason, you are a hater. Let's go on to the next comment. What would happen if I jumped 600 feet? Well, that would be quite the
I don't
accomplishment.
know what would happen, Chris.
You'd probably be an Olympic athlete. You know what I mean?
Oh,
You'd
yeah,
probably
you're
be,
right. You're
for
right.
Team USA in the high jump. You know what I mean? I think that, wow, what an incredible, future you have ahead of you, Don.
Oh, yeah,
Swan.
quite the future. Yeah.
And then the app you thought was going to happen. Yeah, I hear you. But you know what? Like, I think the problem with Mario Kart World is right now, and maybe it might get patched, but like, why does it always feel like you never want to be in first place towards the end in lap 3? Like, you always want to be hanging around like second and fourth and then let everybody else just, mazel tov him. And then right when you get bounced out, then you try to steal it towards the end.
Well,
I
that's
feel
when first place is getting targeted the most. Everyone's got items. People are picking up items regularly, including blue shells. You just don't want to necessarily be in first place.
Or is that the part of the thrill? To be like, you know what?
Maybe.
Challenge me. I dare you.
Maybe. But I've also seen plenty of Mario Kart rounds where you're in first place, you got a huge lead, and then all of a sudden you get hit by 3 blue shells in a row and you lose your first place spot. So.
Yeah, that's crazy. I know. Hey, not everybody's going to be playing nice in the end. But you know what's a really cool thing? You don't usually see, governments get involved with video games, and Japan dropped a free Minecraft map that lets you explore their $2 billion underground flood fortress. I mean, it's basically a typhoon fighting bat cave. No, I'm just kidding. But it was built in 2006. It's called G-Cans. It's now your digital playground. You can have some fun with it. So you can flood-proof Tokyo 1 block at a time, or accidentally turn it into a water park. You get that luxury in video games, right? But let's go ahead and check it out, because it's this is the government, after all, that we're talking about.
It must be really cool to just see it in person. So this is the next best thing. You can't actually go see it in person. So why not actually be able to tour it in Minecraft?
Okay, see, isn't that the exact idea that Epic Games and Disney wanted to partner up with each other so badly so that Disney can, utilize their servers?
They're kind of like corporatizing it a little bit to the point where there's almost no soul. You know what I mean?
Really? You think it like that? I mean, I see how the Japanese government is trying to view this as like maybe an opportunity for maybe, the youth to be like, hey, do you want to be involved? Do you want to work here one of these days? You've never been down below. You want to see how it all works in the end to try to, help keep this island afloat, right? I think that's a really, really cool thing. But then in Disney's case, like let's say, for example, you've never been to Disneyland Paris. Imagine you get to drop into the Fortnite world, into the Disney theme park. You get to walk around the whole entire park because it's almost like just photo identical. And then the time that you do visit in the future, you basically memorize the whole damn park because of the luxury and help of Fortnite. I don't know. I kind of think that's cool. But you know what, HenricK? You're just raining on my parade. I thought this was summer. Well, let's go ahead and dive right on into the comments. Government making a Minecraft map for the joy of its people is peak society, to be honest.
Yep.
28,000 people
Yep.
think that. You view that as well, HenricK?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, they're just trying to connect to the people. They're like, hey, we know you like Minecraft. Here's a great way for you to look at something that's part of our infrastructure, and it's in a Minecraft map.
Yeah, it's
Have
pretty
fun.
cool, and I bet our government doesn't even know what Minecraft is. Yeah, they're on Roblox
Yeah.
right now, apparently. They're all trying to figure out that whole dating app, some of these politicians nowadays. No comment. We're moving on. And then I never expected to see countries flexing with Minecraft worlds when I got older, laughing out loud, and I would never work in this place in my life. And I guess that's another question. Yeah, that does kind of sound scary. I don't know if I would want to go down
Yeah,
to the
it's
G-cans.
one of those liminal spaces. You know what those are, Chris? Where it's like
No, I
those
do not.
transitional spaces where it's like eerie to be in because
Mhm.
nobody's supposed to really be there for that long, at least. That's kind of
Right.
like what that is. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes video games is the best place, to keep the immersive experience, right? We don't have to always physically be there in the end. But we covered last week on Pause and Repeat, Elden Ring Night Rain. People are having a lot of fun with it. I know HenricK is having a lot of endless fun with it still.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
raging on
Yes.
with his friends,
Still
putting
beating those Night Lords.
Yeah, exactly. You're putting friendships and controllers to the test as you and your squad grind all night just to get absolutely body slammed by the Night Lord. It's happened too many times with me. I can't stand it. But the real boss fight, trying to read their attacks before the soul leaves your body. So watch how fast things fall apart in this clip.
How did I know what it was gonna be? That boss,
An
I
official
love that
stomping
boss.
ground,
It's
man.
really, really cool boss. But yeah, it just goes into that like slam, and it sometimes just doesn't want to come out of it. It's like, bro,
But
when
it's
am
like,
I
where are the
gonna have
rest
a
of the
chance to
homies,
attack?
dude? I wish they would actually fix the voice comm because I bet the guy was screaming on the other end like, yo, homies, do something to turn the action away from me. But
Yeah.
let's not run on in because again.
Yeah, he
I
pulled
mean,
out
why
the
is this-
Bucky special.
Yes, exactly. I was also thinking about that one guy that dresses up like, like an Elder Scrolls dude, throwing the maces out in Call of Duty.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's like, again. What did he do to set the boss off? Yeah, what triggers
Exists.
that, HenricK?
Existing. That's what triggers it.
Yeah, if he finds the soul, he wants it. And then also, broski, keep holding the ultimate button even after you land. It will keep you and your friends invincible. Not take damage at all for an insane amount of time. Does
Very
that
true.
actually
Very
work?
true. Yes, it does. It's a very
okay.
good pro tip when you're playing Guardian.
Yeah, you don't get to have that old school, GTA 3, R2, L1, R2, up, down, right, left, up, down. You get the point, fam. We want unlimited ammo. I think that might assist us, with some of these Night Lords nowadays. But then again, modding community on the PC, they got your back, fam. But hey, we can't thank you guys enough for always joining Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show live every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, because without your support, gamers, this show would not be possible. And we just want to take a moment as well to highlight our QR code. So this takes you directly to my YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a live show.
And you see that QR code, so if you like anything you see today in this show, go ahead and follow that QR code, because there's tons of videos there just waiting to be watched. So go watch them, leave some comments, and I'm looking out for them, so I'll respond.
That's right, and as you can possibly might tell on screen, it's getting sizzling hot inside this studio where I'm at.
Yeah.
So bring the fire, bring the fuel. I am ready to blast off into an infinity of all kinds of hot takes. So if you guys want to join along for the ride, wherever it is, from Twitch, Meta, or YouTube, join along on the conversation. If you have a great take, a bad take, yeah, we love it. The time is yours, so we will showcase you guys in the beautiful old glorious fashion of a lower third live on screen. So come along and join the ride. So HenricK the Wreck, are you ready to rock and roll, my friend?
Oh yeah, let's take that portal into the pause and repeat.
Yeah, I like how you did that. It's a thing of a thing going into a thing. Beautiful.
Hey everyone, this is Pause or Repeat. Here we figure out whether a game is really worth your time and money. Today's game is Splitgate 2. Splitgate 2 is an arena-style shooter trying to follow in the footsteps of other series like Halo, Destiny, and Titanfall. The developers have said that they are heavily inspired by these greats and want to bring back their feel. Were they successful? Let's jump right into the gameplay and see if they were. The gameplay of Splitgate 2 is of course a first-person shooter. It actually feels most like Destiny's combat, but with different abilities per faction or class. Subsequently, it will also feel like Halo as a result, since Destiny's roots are in Halo after all. Of course, you've got the portal mechanic that Splitgate is known for, and you've got several different guns to choose from, ranging from assault rifles, SMGs, snipers, shotguns, marksman rifles, and pistols. But also some power weapons, which spawn on the map depending on the game mode you're in, akin to power weapons in Halo. These power weapons have the ability to quickly turn the tide of battle as they live up to their name. Speaking of game modes, however, there is no shortage of these. You'll have your typical arena shooter game modes like Deathmatch, King of the Hill, Domination, but there are also rotating featured game modes, a battle royale mode, and if that's not enough, there is a community server browser where you can play all kinds of community-made modes and maps alongside a lab with Halo Forge style map editing. Altogether, they've gone above and beyond what even the likes of Halo has done recently in regards to delivering options of game modes to choose from. So is there any story? There's enough for a premise at least, despite it being a multiplayer focused game. You get to choose from one of 3 factions playing in the Soul Splitgate League, a tournament where each faction competes to see who is best. The factions are Eros, Meridian, and Sabrask from Earth, Venus, and Mars respectively. But now the question still stands. Pause or repeat?
All right, Chris, we're going back to the glory days of getting pizza, going over to someone's house, playing some Halo 2 or 3. Oh, wait, we can't do that because everyone's online now. But that's at least kind of the feel that Splitgate 2 wants to bring back. And I don't know, did you feel they were successful, Chris?
Yeah, it does kind of come across like a LAN party back in 2006. I feel like Splitgate 2 is what happens when Halo, Call of Duty, and Titanfall all get thrown into a blender with portals, obviously, and then someone forgot to put the lid on. It's fast, it's chaotic, and whether you're chasing sticky grenades or throwing or falling through your own portal into a sniper scope, this game refuses to let you stand still or feel normal again. What would you say, HenricK?
Oh, yeah, no, definitely the first, at least few matches, especially because of the fact that they didn't really pair me with people of my same skill bracket. I was just in the zone, I was like, all right, I'm checking each corner. All right. Oh, there's a dude. Okay, there's another dude. I think I ended with like close to 95 kills one of the first matches. It was pretty intense.
I felt fun, really good about myself when I won the very first game in the Battle Royale. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I actually do got a career in esports. You know what I mean? I was really nailing it. And then, you get humbled really, really quick.
Oh, yeah.
So it is nice to have a skill ceiling in this game.
Yeah, and definitely the guns, they're pretty diverse, I'd say. I mean, I felt at first like maybe it was a little hard to discern what gun did what, but once you kind of get the feel and, maybe you jump into some gun game modes to get a chance to try every gun, you get a little more comfortable with it, and from then on, you're like, oh, okay, I know what gun they used on me, or, oh, I know what gun I want. I want that one.
Yeah, absolutely, HenricK. I feel like the gunplay feels like Master Chief went through military training with parkour experts. I mean, the portals aren't just gimmicks. You're going to want to use them. They are the difference between you becoming a highlight reel or what the hell just happened to the other guy that I just eliminated. Because it's really badass.
Really it is the deciding factor between what separates the boys from the men.
That's right. Come on now, because you're going to find out real quickly as you start to get partnered up with better lobbies that randomly placing portals won't help much. But once you start using them with your actual brain cells, you're going to become like a terrifying blur of jetpacks, bullets, and physics. And I love it. I mean, the movement is buttery smooth, and the momentum is king here, I would say. And just sliding downhill like you're like speed skating at the Olympics and blast out of corners and bounce through the map like it's your own personal bounce house, jetpack included. That's what makes the thrill of the ride that much more fun.
Yeah, the feel, at least from what I gathered from playing it, it feels most like actually Destiny 2's PvP, which if you've ever played Destiny 2's PvP, it's actually really solid. Some people it can be a little divisive for, but that totally makes sense if they're going for, bringing back the feel of like Halo, because Destiny's got its roots in Halo. It's Bungie.
And a little mix of Apex Legends, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like you definitely do get that vibe. Obviously, it's a little bit more ramped up, and obviously you're not going to die as fast as you do like in Apex Legends.
Yeah. But hey, you know what? I appreciate games doing the whole arena shooter thing because it's kind of a genre that has gone away in more recent years. And I love me some Quake, some Doom, some Halo. Love Titanfall. Unfortunately, that series seems to be dead at this point. And I know for sure the developers feel the same based on just playing the game and seeing how they definitely got inspired by all those big series.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of really cool features that are in Splitgate 2. Team deathmatch is now round-based, so it's not just like who shoots first and who flanks through a portal into your personal space without knocking. They add in 10 game modes and a map builder called The Lab, which I think is a very cool feature to drop on day one.
Yeah, honestly, more games need to do that, where they drop plenty of modes to choose from, and then say, you know what? We did a good job, we feel like, but I know that you're going to do an even better job than us as the gamers. So here are some tools to just go wild and make your own thing. You might have seen in some of those clips there, I was playing in Nuketown.
Yeah.
That was just a community-built map that someone had made, and then there were some browsers to play in. And I was like, wow, this is in this game, and Halo can't do this on mobile? That's crazy.
That's why PGA, like the 2K series, that's why it's always so cool to be jumping into like fan-made, golf courses. And I think that's why even like EA is kind of exploring how do we even bring that even to FC, moving forward. And I think, oh my gosh, what an amazing opportunity that Splitgate 2 is offering for FPS shooters, because isn't that the whole thing that we can keep getting sick and tired of when it comes to Call of Duty? Like just regurgitated maps over and over and over again. And I know even people are, celebrating a little bit with Halo Infinity, bringing back Halo 3 maps, but it's like, come on, we need something new. So Splitgate 2 really opens the opportunity for a recipe for sweaty palms and glowing highlights. That's what I really, really love about it. But imagine if someone made a futuristic sports league and then hired an intern to design the uniforms. Like, yeah, HenricK, I understand that the map looks, slick. The movement animations are smooth, but the character cosmetics, I mean, how did you feel about this? Because it was giving off-brand action figure energy.
Oh, yeah. I took a quick glance at them, and I don't think I ever really wanted to look at them again because I didn't get excited by them. I was like, you know what?
I could care less to look at the store tab. Because it's definitely expensive. It's still expensive. I know that they addressed it before. They got a lot of backlash trying to sell a portal for $35. Guess what? I jumped on before we logged in live. You won't see that anymore. So they clearly addressed that. But they're not going to lower the prices anytime soon. They're going to charge it exactly like Fortnite and Call of Duty do with, their cosmetics. But like, let's say for those two games, for example, Fortnite and Call of Duty are hosting Fashion Week while Splitgate 2 is still dressing in gym clothes from middle school. So they got to figure that out. They look like Marathon, okay? Like the DNA is like right there. So they need to mix things up just a little bit. And then when it comes to, the story, they don't really care. I mean, for their sequel for now.
And I mean, to be fair, they don't really need to care because it's really a multiplayer-focused game. But, if you're going to mention a story, the second I have to go out of the game, to read about the story, you kind of lost me.
Yeah, and that never really worked for me with Apex Legends. I never cared. I mean, maybe I try to, check out the lore for like maybe the first 2 seasons, and then I'm like, dude, just give me my character. I could care less.
Yeah.
Because in the end, you are this faceless gladiator in space with a gun and a portal gun. That's the lore, right? I mean, it's not deep. It's not supposed to be. So Splitgate 2 knows that you're not here to cry over cutscenes, right? I mean, you're here to teleport behind someone and ruin their kill streak.
Yeah, definitely. And hey, at the end of the day, did you have fun with it, Chris?
I did, but you know what? Before we even get into our verdict, I wanted to ask you this because I want you to be honest with me. Like, do you think Splitgate 2 is the future of esports, or are we just watching default skins sprint through portals like it's a PE class in the Matrix?
Honestly, what makes an esport more than anything else is not the company saying, oh, we're going to make this an esport. It's the community coming together and making it an esport, because without the community, you're never going to have one in the first place. And between the kind of shaky start with some comments from the people behind the game,
1047 games,
as well as the cosmetics not really being that alluring, it's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle for them to promote this as an esport. It really is going to be whether or not people really gravitate to it at the end of the day, and I don't think that people have really gravitated to it just yet.
Man, well, they're definitely missing out because the movement is so fluid. It might as well qualify as its own beverage. I mean, come on now. You got your own mocktail going on. But, I mean, the portals actually make you feel smart. I love that feature, even if you're just accidentally escaping death. We can all admit that, right? But then it may not be the most immersive shooter out there, but it's fun, it's fresh, and worth jumping back into again and again and again, HenricK. So Splitgate 2 is a repeat. What about yourself, HenricK?
I'm actually going to throw a curveball your way, Chris.
Don't do it.
This is a pause for me.
Why? Really?
Well, I do really enjoy a lot of parts about the game, but funny enough, when I was playing the game, I was like, you know what? This is making me want to go back and play Destiny 2's PvP all over again.
What, do you get motion sickness? Do you need to go back to Halo and slow
not
things
even
down
that.
a little bit? Do you not need a sprint button?
It's inspired by Destiny, Halo, Titanfall, all that, but it's not got the same identity because of that. And that's why whenever I was for example, pulling out the Goliath pistol, I was like, this is literally just a hand cannon from Destiny 2. And if I want a hand cannon, I'd like to have my ace of spades.
So you'd like to see them kind of switch things up a little bit when it comes to the weapons, and maybe they might be watching this video now, HenricK.
I mean, there's plenty of opportunity for them to develop the game further and bring more people to the fold, and maybe make me more interested in continuing to play this game. Whereas for now, it'll just be the side piece.
Yeah,
really.
I just love how fast it moves. I mean, it's so satisfying when you can run up on somebody and just do a close combat, kapow, and then jump back in your portal and just leave, and then just shut the portal off like, haha, you build your own portal to come back after me. But hey, you guys and girls, let us know what's good. Are you vibing with Splitgate 2? Is this a repeat for endless fun, or just a pause to move on and play something else? But hey, stick around because we got so much more here left on Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. So HenricK the Wreck, are you ready to rock and roll, my friend?
Oh yeah, let's get that ball rolling because we got plenty of talk about.
Hey, let's get it. What's good, listeners? Welcome to Patch Notes, where my co-host HenricK the Wreck and I discuss gaming news, industry talk, and so much more. Let's get it. MindsEye, the debut game from Build a Rocket Boy, dropped straight into a crater of negative reviews so fast even PlayStation started handing out refunds like they were apology letters. When the hell does PlayStation ever do that? So it's not officially delisted yet, but comparisons to the Cyberpunk 2077 are already flying, minus the comeback arc. But let's take a look at some of those glorious glitches that are circulating all across the World Wide Web that helped crash land its rocky launch. Not like that SpaceX, they didn't quite capture that rocket, you know what I mean? It just kind of fell into the ocean and never to be seen again. But let's go ahead and take a look.
Thanks, man. Be seeing you. All ran.
Come on, man. We don't got all day.
You know, that really does look like the compilation clips of Cyberpunk 2077 at launch on the consoles, minus the massive hype behind it, because this game got hyped, but
Oh,
not
big
to the
time.
extent of Cyberpunk.
Well, especially when you hear former GTA developers and then you're like getting excited that you hear that it's a semi-open world and we're all just
Mhm.
kind of itching, you know, for that GTA 6 release, and we just need something that can kind of comfort us like the AC conditioner in this studio right now during this blazing heat. But, you know, it's almost like, you know, you're driving in your little Toyota Hyundai or whatever, you know, and then all of a sudden the AC goes down, and then you're like, oh my God, I need to upgrade. Why am I still riding in a car that's almost 25 years ago with no AC? But let's stop doing, you know, automobile analogies and just jump right on into the video game comments. So the first comment reads, remember, guys, every single negative review was paid to be a negative, and the game is actually amazing. The creator of the game said so. Yeah, you
Right.
know, what was that all
Yeah.
about? You know, they were really quick to, you know, state this statement, and then, you know, obviously, you know, journalism in the video game industry started speaking out saying, yeah, we never actually got a copy for review. And that was a bit odd. And
Yeah, and
why was that
then
the case?
the people who did get a copy for sponsored streams, like Co Carnage, he got pulled. He was like, "Oh, I just got an update from them. They are pausing the sponsored stream." That's a first.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. That's for sure. I wonder, you know, if we'll ever find more context to that, you know, situation that unfolded on air. And then the next comment that we hear is, I think we need to retire the idea that there's no such thing as bad press. Well, you know,
Yeah, it works in some contexts, but in the
yeah.
context of something like this, yeah, it's just gonna mean people are gonna make fun of your game and not buy it.
Yeah, because I feel like every OnlyFans girl would be like, yeah, I don't know. I think bad press has really helped me out make millions and millions of dollars every year.
Yeah, there you go.
I got to think
That's
of a few in
context
my
that
head.
does work because there's always going to be people who want to go and spend money for that at least.
Right. And, you know, you bunch of gooners out there. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking forward to all the reports about how much of a cluster F the game development was. Yeah, you know, we're going to find out later on. Oh, my gosh, we were in crunch time, this and that. You know, wouldn't that be kind of exhausting after a while? I mean, yeah, we've highlighted over numerous seasons about how crunch time is a very much a
Well,
real
it's just
thing.
the age-old conversation at this point, Chris, because it's like every studio at some point or another has said, "Oh, yeah, we got crunch time. It's kind of inevitable. We get close to the launch and we're just not finished, and we're looking at the time frame. We're like, oh man, we got 3 months left. All
Yeah.
right, people, you're not leaving the office. We got 70-hour work weeks. Got to finish it."
But it's that conversation again about, like, where's the vetting? You know what I mean? When you're
Yeah.
publishing these games to these outlets, you know, and
Mhm.
because I know Steam every once in a while, you know, you come across this situation where, you know, someone downloads this game and then all of a sudden it's just like a hub for malware. You know what I mean? And it's like, that sucks. And so, but then again, you're seeing like PS5 and you go, how does that happen? How do they even go through all the steps to be able to launch this game at, you know, full standard edition price, and then all of a sudden it flops as hard as it did? I mean, at least Cyberpunk 2077 was taken down temporarily on Steam, and then it came back, and then obviously it became its glorious, you know, foundation of a place it is today in Night City. But let's keep it moving. I never got a straight answer for what people saw in this game. Every gameplay I've seen has cringe dialogue and the same boring gameplay. Did
I'll tell
you
you
feel
what
the
it
same
was
way?
that people saw. People saw the fact that there was GTA developers on the team, and they're like, "Oh yes, this is ringing some bells in my ears. I want to be a part of this."
Yeah,
And
do we need to
then,
stop doing that?
nah.
Because, I mean, obviously everybody was so excited about Bungie, and then they start working on their glorious project Marathon, and then, well, look what happened
Yeah,
now.
it's kind of a double-edged sword because you have certain expectations of big names. Like with the Bungie thing, for example, you have the expectation of like, oh, okay, they have a legacy of Destiny being a huge success in live service for however long that's been around. I don't remember at this point, but a long
Right.
time. And then before that, the whole Halo series that they worked on. And so when you see the name Bungie, you immediately think that. And it's hard
Yeah.
to take yourself away from that and be like, wait, let's not get too hyped here, because It could still mess things up.
Well, it's also when people call for stuff like, hey, I want the Naughty Dog that I grew up with. And you're like, dude, the same team that worked on Crash Bandicoot ain't the same people that did The Last of
Yeah.
Us. Okay, so like
Yeah.
those silly comparisons get they're pretty dumb. And then I just have a quick question. Has there been a single example of quote unquote famous developer of a beloved classic game series leave studio to make their own spiritual successor, end quote, that has turned out not to be a complete dumpster fire?
I'm sure there are examples out there. I mean, I can't really think of one off the top of my head.
Come on, chat.
unfortunately.
Where are you, chat?
But I know that there were some Blizzard employees that left to go make their own studio pretty recently, and they actually put out trailers. I mean, the games are not out from what they're working on, but it
How
seems pretty
about
promising from what they've
Kojima?
shown. Oh, you
Didn't
know what?
he-
That is a good choice, Chris.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, didn't
Yeah.
they all leave their previous studio and because they trusted his work ethic?
Yeah.
And that's how we are able to get Death Stranding 2 on the beach coming real soon. I don't know. That's the one that pops in mind. I could be totally wrong. But then
No, that's a great example.
the next one, or the last comment that we got here is, I didn't think the game would be this bad. I was expecting a generic shooter, but it was way worse with all the bugs. And yeah, it's very unfortunate. You know, believe it or not, HenricK and I, listeners, we actually were going to put that on our top games
Yeah.
for June. And then we had to
And
do
you
an
know what? It's really funny you
emergency
bring that
call.
up because you were actually bringing it up as a game because of the developer's name on the docket.
Yeah, I know. And then it was like an emergency call, and it was like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And we're like,
Yeah.
okay. And we won't say the game that we replaced it with because they were all great games. But, you know,
Yeah.
HenricK, so which one's more likely to make a comeback? Marathon, the mysterious reboot with zero gameplay, or MindsEye, the glitch fiesta that made PlayStation reach for the refund button faster than a rage quit?
You know, I would say between those two, actually, Marathon has the better chance of coming back, just based on the fact that Sony at this point has spent so much money on building Marathon with Bungie that it's kind of that sunk cost fallacy where they have to make it come out. Even if they got delayed for another 2 years, they're going to probably want to put it out.
Well, it's paused indefinitely, and we definitely predicted that about 2 episodes back. So, yeah, I mean, that doesn't surprise anybody. And, like, right now, MindsEye has a Metacritic score of just 37 based on 8 critic reviews that have come out so far. So that's enough to make it, like, the most poorly received game of 2025 so far. And you know what, HenricK? Can you even guess the game that's even worse than that? Or actually, maybe that's a bad thing, because then all of a sudden we're clouding other games that maybe don't deserve that. We won't go there. But it was Ambulance.
Anyways.
It was Ambulance Life, a paramedic simulator.
Yeah, I hadn't even heard about it, so.
Yeah, so there you go. And so MindsEye is the first game from the studio Build a Rocket Boy, which was founded by former GTA producer Leslie Benzie. And, you know, obviously the co-CEO Mark Gahard accused the critics of being paid off by other studios to, quote-unquote, trash the game. And
Which is always such a funny argument. Like, yeah, other studios paid people to trash you. Come on, man. How outlandish does that really sound like?
Isn't that why it's so important that before games get released, you do play test? So these kind of situations don't occur.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Yeah, I mean, it remains to be seen, you know, if any storefronts outright delist the game. You know, as we keep referencing, Cyberpunk 2077 had that similar backlash when it overcame its own performance issues in the past. But, you know, the damage to its reputation wasn't done. You know, they were able to make a DLC and obviously a new sequel that's in the works. So that's really, really exciting. But yeah, you know, it's unfortunate. You, the gamers, do you see MindsEye making a comeback? Or do you just see, like, you know, it's time for the studio just to move on, regurgitate itself, you know, whatever they got to do, pop a tum, you're not feeling well, and then go along with your way and make something glorious in the end? Because nobody wants to see the studio shut down. It's just an unfortunate situation, but come on, man, got to do better, because if you failed second time, I'm coming after your ass, Rocket Boy. But all right, let's start to switch the tone, HenricK the Rex. So break it down.
Obsidian's anti-capitalist RPG, The Outer Worlds 2, just became Xbox's first $80 quote-unquote standard game.
Yeah.
Ironic, considering it's basically a game about hating that exact kind of move. It's anti-capitalist altogether. So, and sure, Xbox Game Pass is a great deal, but when the price hikes kick in right after Xbox becomes the biggest publisher in gaming, I don't think that people can really argue with that.
Very true.
Just starts feeling less like strategy and more like a join us or suffer kind of vibe. So let's not forget, it wasn't Xbox that kicked off this $80 era. It's Nintendo that kicked it off with their Switch 2 pricing games at $80 to $90, depending on whether it's digital or physical. So, of course, Xbox saw that and said, hold my beer, I got you.
Right, exactly. So let's dive right on in, because I'm really curious to see how the community is vibing with Xbox pushing forward with this notion. So the first comment reads, first game wasn't good enough for me to ever pay $80 for the second. And then a follow-up says, agreed, I like the first, but not about to spend $80 on another one. Yeah, these are the same people that created Fallout New Vegas. I love
and
Fallout
Avowed
New Vegas.
from this year.
Exactly. And so with that being said, obviously they're utilizing their leverage from previous games to justify this to be an $80 push. After we now just saw Borderlands 4, with a lot of the community backlash all around the world, they just announced that they're actually going to be pricing the game at $70. But I kind of feel like they're doing this as a marketing push to keep it at $80 because it is a day one release on the Xbox Game Pass. And I feel like that is, it's going to make you want to go $12.99 a month to jump into the game if you're not crazy about owning that physical copy release. What do you think about all this, Henrik?
It also feels odd to price it at $80 because the first game was actually $30. And the first game didn't come out in the last couple of years. So, $30 is still maybe a little bit on the higher end when it came to games.
See, I had no idea. $30 at the time?
But yes,
wow.
$30 is how much you were spending to play the first game. So to jump from 30 to 80 for the sequel, that is more than double jump right there.
Yeah, that's insane. And then you get comments like this. I'm never paying that much for a game, especially when they will be at least 50% off after release. Yeah, that's kind of how I roll.
Or it'll show up in Humble Choice like the first game did. That's how I got it.
There you go. And then AAA games have gotten way too big with too many employees and too long development cycles. I believe reducing scope a bit and not increasing prices would result in better profitability. Would Claire Obscure Expedition 33 be a nice example of what this gentleman or gal is saying on the other end of the Reddit thread?
Yeah. It is the whole thing of there's sometimes just too many chefs in the kitchen coming up with ideas of like, oh, we got to do this. No, we got to do this though. Oh, yeah, you're right. And then another person comes in. No, you know what? You're both wrong. We got to do this. We got to do this first.
That's so funny that you're saying the chef analogy, because I always laugh when like you receive a plate, your dinner plate, and you haven't even taken a bite, and you're already throwing salt and pepper on it. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Like, you don't think that stuff is already on it already? Oh,
didn't even taste it to see if you need it.
Oh, that stuff just drives me nuts. And then I'm not sure how this one game is, quote-unquote, obvious marketing push for Game Pass when literally every first-party Microsoft title is always on Game Pass day one. I mean, I definitely feel like it's an obvious marketing push. I mean, do you really want to pay $80, or would you rather do $12.99 a month?
That is the whole argument that they really want with the games that are showing up on Game Pass day one. Like, hey, you could buy it full price, or you could just buy Game Pass and play it as part of the subscription, and you have a bunch of other stuff.
Like, will this eventually start to hurt Microsoft? Because, what happens if the game becomes like a total dud? With like reviews, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying review bombs. I'm talking like people coming in with, they're just like, wow, I just was not impressed. And for the price tag, I don't like it. Like, will that hamper, them even wanting to continue this trend moving forward? Or are they just going to be we're going to.
It could, especially considering that when you see a game priced at $80 or even 60 or 70, I'll go as far as say that. Um, you kind of get this feeling of like, okay, if I'm paying this much for the game, it has to be a premium experience that delivers on that price tag. And if it's a game that is maybe double A, maybe you can get away with it. Indie games, definitely not. This one, don't really know whether it is a triple A game or not. They really want to say it is, but we won't really know until we try it, right?
HenricK, it's a triple Z game. Okay, get it right, get it tight. And then anchoring, create a higher value of item that psychologically pushes people to the subscription because I'm getting so much value here. Yeah, I mean, that's how it rolls, right? I mean, we all got suckered into Netflix, almost 15 years ago, paying $7.99, and look at us today in the year 2025 paying $17.99 a month. It's just like, I love YouTube TV. It's great, but like 5 years ago it was like $63.99, and then now we're at like $76 a month. That's where they sucker you in. I mean, wasn't it like we always loved to say back in the day, oh, I can't wait to cut the cable. Can't wait to cut the cable. And then all of a sudden
we did, and now we have something that's worse.
Yeah,
than cable.
and then you almost like want the federal government to get involved and just really tackle this. But then again, maybe it might not be smart to have the government in everything in our everyday lives. And then The Outer Worlds is not a AAA title. So like clearly there are some mixed reactions when it comes to the Outer Worlds sequel. And is it really worth the $80, or is Xbox just cranking up prices to hurt us into Game Pass because gamers are either calling it a smart move or grabbing their pitchforks, HenricK?
Yeah, it's a whole marketing push for Game Pass because that's their supposed moneymaker. And I do believe that they make money off of it because think about it. Every company wants to put out subscriptions nowadays because they make money.
Yeah.
Like, what other reason would they want subscriptions other than it's making them money?
Yeah, that's the idea. You build up the base, then the price of the Xbox Game Pass will go up. That's the entire point of a subscription service,
Or people
right?
just forget that they have it and they're just paying that recurring payment, and Xbox is cashing out on it.
I think that's like a tiny part of it. That's definitely a real thing for sure. But like the whole idea is like they start off with like a cheap entry point. It gets you all excited. Like, ooh, I think I'm going to switch my internet provider because this is going to provide me the next best opportunity because I'm just looking at, the price tag. And then you start to read all the hidden print, and then, you got to protect yourself in the end. But like, obviously I referenced Netflix as an example. It's no different than, let's say, Disney Plus, HelloFresh, Spotify, Amazon Prime. Yep. Every other subscription works this way. Okay. So they want you to rely on it as games get more expensive. And that's why I'm like, I can't believe people would move forward and supported the Nintendo Switch 2 as fast as they did, selling out that unit, because in the end, they're going to be pumping out $80 to $90 games. And like, even like Borderlands 4, did you hear about? They got this special edition package and they don't even have the game with it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like,
and I
what?
mean, it kind of makes some sense because a lot of times people buy the collector's edition and they already have the game. But at the same time, $150.
Man, when you paid $150, you got the game with it, HenricK.
Yeah, exactly.
Man. Let's not make that. Let's not normalize that. But hey, do you guys vibing with like the Outer Worlds 2? Do you feel like this is a game that deserves to be priced as every other AAA title that's being released moving forward? Yeah, this is the reality. I mean, again, Xbox was the first people to move us from $60 to $70, and then Nintendo started the surge. And then let's also not forget, HenricK, everybody's waiting on Rockstar to release the price of Grand Theft Auto 6. And if it truly gets to $100, then we're really in a conundrum. We should all be panicking. And as much as I'm really excited to check it out, I'm also very nervous about where the future of gaming is going to be heading. But let us know. Should we be skeptical? Should we be excited? Let us know what's good. But let's start to switch some gears because, wow, what a time to be alive in the USA, because in Hong Kong, just downloading a mobile game about fighting a communist regime could now land you in hot water. Police are warning players to delete reversed front bonfire or face punishment under national security laws. I didn't even know about this game until the BBC started reporting about it. And also the developers are claiming that thank you, the People's Republic of China, for giving us amazing publicity. Yep, a game where you can literally choose sides is now banned for letting you choose the wrong one. Yeah, you can play as a communist in this game. And when governments start telling you what games you're allowed to play, you have to ask yourself, is this about security or control? And so let's see how gamers around the world. Yeah, exactly. Let's see how gamers around the world are reacting. So the first comment that we got here is players can pledge allegiance to Taiwan, Hong Kong, Mongolia, Tibet, Uyghurs, among other options to overthrow the communist regime. Quote unquote. This is on their website. In a line on the game's website, it stated that it was a work of nonfiction, adding that any similarity to the actual agencies, policies, or ethnic groups of the PRC in this game is intentional. Laughing out loud, Taiwanese developers, by the way. So they're also trolling them. They're like, yeah, we're going to call it nonfiction, but yeah, we're also trying to make a political statement out of this game. Like,
yeah, and it is a weird thing, the way that the mainland China views all those smaller countries out there that they quote unquote used to own. And I say quote unquote because they believe that they still own those countries.
Well, especially when you
part
get
of their mantra.
Well, remember, Hong Kong is governed under the principle of a one country, two systems, right? So under which China has agreed to give the region a high degree of autonomy and to preserve its economic and social status for 50 years from the date of the handover. So that's why, you know, they can have a little bit of a say, you know, in Hong Kong, whether I hate it. I hate this move. And I say the rest of the world definitely should be, you know, looking at China go, what the hell are you guys doing? This is crazy. And it's news like this that can make me appreciate that I live in a country where the government doesn't care what games I play, what books I read, and what movies I watch. I often take that for granted, but it's something to be grateful for. Yeah, you know, we're very lucky to be, you know, in a country where we get to watch things online that sometimes we wish didn't show up on our feed, right?
Yeah.
But
and
we
you
get
can
to
also trash things without the fear of, oh man, if I trash this, there's going to be some recourse because
I thought you were about to make a downtown LA reference for a second.
Oh, well, I mean, that is a thing too, yes.
Right.
I meant in terms of like saying that something is bad, you know, and then it turns out the thing that you called bad is owned by the government in some way, shape, or form, and then they come after you because you were bad-mouthing them in public.
Yeah, fair enough, right? It's like the No Kings rallies that are going all across the country. We have the luxury in this country to protest.
They do that. Yeah.
You know, if we were actually in a king, you know, world in the United States, you probably wouldn't be walking down the street with the No King, you know, sign.
Exactly.
You know, waving it up high in the air. But the Streisand effect exists, and yet none of them understand the concept behind it. I guess Hong Kong should just take the L instead of for this one. Yeah, they're taking a massive L right now. It's just a horrible move. I don't like it. And then this is an expected and typical weak response from the country known for harassing neighboring countries and their atrocities against Uyghurs. And when you get this upset over a mobile game, it's only more telling how wrong your country's positions are. And yeah, you know, we've covered it over the last year. You know, China's getting more involved in the development of video games moving forward. You know, Black Myth Wukong is a massive success. It's a freaking amazing game. I know they were clowning the Western civilization a little bit, going, hey, we don't want to hear about your woke analogy. And remember, we even tackled it. Yeah. We're like, really, dude? We're really going to start tackling pronouns on a freaking animal? Like, what are we doing here? You're losing all arguments. But, like, stuff like this, oh my gosh, I'm gonna stay quiet because I feel like I'm not gonna use the right choice of words. But then, shit, I should uninstall Battlefield Vietnam or BF Vietnam, and I miss gutting American pigs and Rising Storm 2 as glorious Vietnam. Yeah, I mean, it's that whole thing, right? You're playing a Call of Duty, let's say World at War, right? You want to play as the Americans, but then sometimes you gotta play as the opposing side. You know, the occupying force, the Axis, the Nazi regime, okay? Nobody supports that ideology. It's a game, okay?
It's part of history,
so
if they're going to be historically accurate, they have to include that.
There are plenty of video games that highlight the United States in a very negative setting as well.
Mhm.
And so, just because a government doesn't like, how they are showcasing it, that's not cool. And that's why we are very, very blessed to live in a place where we have, the freedom of the press. And the last comment that we got here is a hilarious thing that needs to be pointed out is that this Wafu Gotcha game, they didn't have to make the CPC Wafus this hot. But they did. Like, step on me,
The
mommy,
waifus.
goddamn. Like, dude, this
Yeah.
guy, I can't believe I just read that out loud on air. But Reddit appears to be auto-removing comments and posts with this links to this game. I took out the link and commented it, and it worked. So that's, what's that all about, Reddit? I haven't really tested that out yet, but if that's really the case, that's kind of wild. I mean, why would, Reddit feel like they need to do that as well? But, HenricK, if playing as the bad guys in video games is now grounds for punishment, does that mean half of the multiplayer lobbies are criminal enterprises? I mean, and more importantly, is this the kind of world that we want where governments decide which side of the respawn screen you're allowed to be on?
Yeah, no, it's definitely government overreach in this case, and shouldn't be praised or applauded by any means, because the second that even something small like this starts to be normalized, that's when more and more things start to be normalized in a succession beyond it. So 1 minute it could be this. The next thing is, hey, actually, we don't like that you're playing these games in the first place of this entire genre. So we're just going to not let you play those in the first place. And then so on and so forth. It could go and escalate as far as it ever can if the people allow it to. So it's just another case of, yes, it is nice to live in a country where they don't do this to you.
Yeah, I don't want to live in a country where, the police are warning us through statements, saying, quote, may be regarded as in possession of a publication that has seditious intention. Those who have downloaded the application should uninstall it immediately and must not attempt to defy the law, end quote. I feel like that is just something that I can't believe we're still doing in the year 2025. And so, be humbled that you live in the good old glory days. Or the days. It is the USA. But hey, let's start to move things along because, let's start to wrap it up because I know Reddit's always got something juicy cooking up in the end. So break it down, HenricK the Wreck.
Reddit never misses when it comes to gamer hot takes. And this time, someone asked, what's a dead game you wish people still played? I can think of someone off the top of my head.
Yeah, there's been a few that you've just
right
highlighted today throughout the show.
True, yeah. But with remakes popping up like they're on a subscription plan, let's see which games gamers are desperate to resurrect. No necromancy required.
Are you sure, HenricK? Maybe we might need it. Okay, maybe not. But let's dive right on in. Guns of Icarus? Is that how you say it?
Icarus. Guns of Icarus.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
You can tell I never played the game. Am I missing out? This is,
in
the end, a dead game that I missed out on. But then we got a follow-up comment that reads, what a unique experience. Made a lot of friends on that game. Then they released a single-player mode and split the already small player base. So you said you played this game, HenricK?
That'll do it. Once or twice. It wasn't like a go-to game, but I know about it. Yeah.
Do you remember what to you made it fall apart?
Probably mismanagement of how the game was run, but it had a cool
or your
concept.
mismanagement of your Steam Deck? No, just kidding. Your Steam account. Just kidding.
Well, I mean, it was a cool concept. It was like a steampunk multiplayer first-person shooter, and I, at the time, especially really liked steampunk stuff. So I was like, "This is exactly what I'm."
Hell yeah! Right. Battlefield Bad Company 2. Love that game.
Oh yeah,
I love that game, but I don't care to see it come back. Like that's really like 1,000 people really want to see that. Come on, they always drop Bad Company 2 maps. It's like the conversation we just had today, like Halo Infinity. Woo! We have Halo 3 maps all over again. Do we need a whole new game remastered all over again? I don't think so. Instead, go make another Bad Company. I don't know. I'm gonna say a hard pass. The next one that we got here is Star Wars Galaxy holds a warm place in my heart. Wow, that's a throwback. I mean, would you think that would resonate today? especially with the
I think it would, just based on the fact that there's always some sort of following to the Star Wars games, even the ones that were considered bad by the majority of people. Those ones have people that are very, very passionate about them sticking around and wanting to come back to them every now and then. So this would be probably one of the ones that I'm sure if it did come back, it actually would get a decent player base.
Yeah, we'd definitely have to see. That's for darn sure. And then let's go into the next one, which is SOCOM. That
SOCOM.
is so funny. I'm looking at this image on screen. The definitely were. I had that little joy ball of a thing, whatever they call that motion controller. And do you feel like that was the death of this game?
No,
trying to
I feel it's like just the genre of it hasn't really
kinda died
popped
out.
off. Yeah, it's been
It really worked
a dead
well on the
genre for a
PSP.
while.
When they used to
Yeah.
have, that was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't really operate the same. It would be kind of cool to kind of get a little bit of that, Metal Gear Solid, Snake Eater kind of vibes with SOCOM, and then maybe make it into an online experience where it is, maybe like a Helldivers-esque. Maybe that might be kind of
Okay.
cool. Kind of like what they're doing. Maybe that would be a fun way to revamp it. But yeah, man, that's a throwback. That's for darn sure. And then
Yeah.
Gotham City Imposters. I never
Oh.
played it. Never
No?
played this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a very quirky kind of shooter, I believe it was a shooter. Very quirky game though. kind
Yeah,
of
I can definitely.
also a hidden gem, I would say for sure. And
Yeah, I
that
think this
is
got
why
popular on the
I-
Xbox, I believe, if I'm
Oh
not
yeah,
mistaken.
yeah, and I'm sure that it would garner some attention if it came back because people talk very, very highly of this game when they bring it up in conversation.
Well, you're gonna have to convince James Gunn because it seems like he has a lot of say in whether his DC universe wants to stay afloat with Gotham City Imposters. It's got to match
True,
up. But hey,
true.
who they hired or casted for Clayface, man, he looks promising. He looks just like the guy from the comic books. And then the last one that we got here is Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Vegas. I was trying to explain this game to a college-age buddy of mine and who plays Siege. How could you go from Vegas with all of its customizations and game modes, even the ability to use a camera on your console to put it on your face, on your character, to the modern quote-unquote hero shooters? But, HenricK, what was your thought on this?
Well, it's never coming back as long as Siege is around because that's what's making them money in that IP, and they're not wanting to do anything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just the reality of it.
Yeah, this will never see the light of day. You know what I mean? Yeah, you're absolutely right. But hey, sometimes we can always reminisce. I mean, in the end, this is a question that was asked, what would you like to see resurrect? And so, HenricK, what's a dead game that you would like to bring back to life faster than a developer announces a remaster no one asked for? Okay? Like, what is that game?
I'm going to go back to the 90s with this one.
You
there
went
is
really
this
far
computer game called Tribes 2, or I guess Star Siege Tribes 2. Actually, no, I think it was just Tribes 2. But that game was so much fun growing up to play on the computer. And they've tried to bring back Tribes every now and then. I believe it's Hi-Rez that is now the umbrella company that owns that IP. And when they tried to do Tribes 3 last year, I believe it was, didn't go well. Because they can't handle that IP properly. It is just, I think now they're doing another game called Dead Zone Rogue, and I just don't have an interest in playing that because I know that eventually it's going to shut down, and it already doesn't seem finished. So why spend the $25 to play a game that's not finished, right?
Does it struggle with, like, a retention, for gamers? Or is it, like, actually
I would say probably that's part of why it hasn't come back, just because it's in a genre that's very niche of like a shooter genre. It's what they call the Z-axis shooters, because everyone has a jump pack to fly, and then also there's a ski mechanic. So when you're up in the sky and you come down to like a ridge, if there's a slope, you can activate your skis and get momentum to go faster, and then you can even ramp yourself and go even further. So it's just like movement is a really integral part of it, but it has a very high skill ceiling and a very high skill floor to begin with, so it's hard to get into it as well.
Yeah, you're making me have to go to my public library and go dust off the Game Informer, magazines, because what the hell? I mean, I love the choice, HenricK. I don't know if I've even heard of this game, and that's what's so cool about these Reddit threads is that you discover games that you go, man, I wish I played this, and maybe it sparks up something new. But HenricK, if we're gonna be reviving dead games, I thought of 2 different games. Okay, I'll do the multiplayer one first. There's a TV series that's going on Peacock. You might have heard of it. Twisted Metal. What the hell are we doing?
Yes.
Bring back the driver's seat. I mean, picture it like this, HenricK. Add in a battle royale with 50 rage-fueled murder machines. Give it a Mario Kart style racing as well as another game mode, and bring back that OG deathmatch mayhem all in one explosive joyride. I guarantee you the player base will be all in. I mean, look at how everybody's getting excited about Mario Kart World. You add a Twisted Metal racing with all the the glorified battle royale, that would be so freaking badass. I'd be smashing everybody in my ice cream truck, okay? And then it was funny because I didn't originally think of this, but since it's been so damn hot, I've been telling people, oh my gosh, it feels like it's hotter than Dante's Inferno. And I went, holy shit, where the hell is Dante's Inferno? That game was so freaking badass 15 years ago. And I want to go back to punching demons in the 9 circles of hell, okay? They were supposed to make a second one. It was supposed to be called something along the lines of Dante's Purgatory, and I guarantee you today, and I swear, gamers would ascend just to play it. So EA, if you're hearing this, I know you guys aren't big into single-player games, but I think you guys got something. Make it happen. But if there is
they kind of popped off with that title. I remember when it came out, and I was
like, it was
so good,
much fun, so much fun. I had it on the PS3 and the PSP. It was like I need it on both devices. But is there a game that you want to see resurrect, from the ashes, dust it off a little bit, see a reemergence? Let us know what's good. But, man, we can't thank everyone for tuning in to Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. You got to make sure that you will like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you guys never miss a live show. And this QR code takes you to my YouTube channel. So join along for the ride. I always love reading you guys' comments. It always strengthens the show. So all the positive and negative energy, it goes a long way.
And you see that QR code, so bask in its glory, because that goes to my YouTube channel. So if you liked anything you saw on this show, or even if you didn't, go watch some content over there, leave some comments. I'm waiting, and I will respond to them.
That's right. Yeah, we can't thank you guys enough. And HenricK, you did it. See, you weren't sick after all. You just needed to, you just needed to plow it through a little bit, man. You sound fantastic.
Yes, my inner bass baritone came out.
That's right.
Today.
Hey, there can only be one baritone. That's me, all right? Okay, you better knock it off, okay? Stop taking my job away from me. No, just kidding. But, hey, we can't thank you, the gamers, enough for joining along for the ride, and we will see you next week live on Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Meta, Twitch, and YouTube. Peace.
See ya.